What's going on, guys? Apathetic here with all your tips, recommendations, and everything in between. And today, Trials of Osiris has finally launched, and I'll be covering a couple things I picked up from my flawless runs, and even talk loadouts that will help you to go flawless and earn yourself a trip to the lighthouse. Let's get into it. The first and most important tip for going flawless in Trials of Osiris is playing that first pick. What that means is when you get that first kill, that is instantly giving your team a huge advantage. You're officially up 2-3 on your enemy. This sounds obvious, but more passive players or teams don't understand the urgency we as a team need to have when you first get that pick. So if you have teammates or a team you run with that's typically a little bit more passive, then you need to have a switch. Once you get that first pick, you need to turn on your aggressive switch and immediately collapse on that orb as quickly as possible. Because the longer you wait to collapse on that orb, the more likely it is that the enemy will successfully resurrect their teammate. This concept is what makes snipers especially strong in Trials, because of the ability to generate that first pick and then in partnership with your team, push in. But there is also an inverse to this tip, and that's when your teammates get picked first, you need to slow things down because you know the enemy team is going to be pretty aggressive, and in this scenario you want to try to bait your teammates orb. You want to save your grenade or other abilities because you know the enemy team is coming to guard that orb, and that allows us to set them up with a grenade or catch them grouped up to hopefully get a quick team wipe. My next tip I picked up for while going flawless in Trials is to, when in doubt, play the res. As you play Trials more and more, you'll find yourself in circumstances where you have to make a choice. It's a 1v1, the enemy team is going for their res, and you have a choice to play your teammate's res or go in and try to kill the enemy team. A lot of times in these moments, people go into hero mode and try to line up a snipe or try to push in and beat someone to the res, and sometimes it works out, but the probability of you winning the round isn't nearly as high as when you res your own teammate. Resurrecting your teammate allows you to slow down the situation, and depending on how many, if all your teammates are down, res an additional teammate and not have to shoulder the load of winning a round all by yourself. Resurrecting your teammate, no matter how confident you are in your abilities or how bad the other team may be, is almost always going to be the right call. The only scenario where this probably wouldn't apply is when your super is charged, which obviously changes the situation just a little bit. So don't be a hero and res your teammates and give yourself the best possible chance to win the round. My last tip for you guys today before talking about loadouts is to isolate your enemy. Isolating your enemy is when you notice you have one enemy who is by themselves. So maybe the enemy team is trying to get fancy and flank, or one of their teammates overextends. This is where you and your team need to call out that you have a player who is separated from the rest of their team and make the call to push in on this player and isolate them. This is a tactic that definitely works better with a more coordinated team, and that's why communication is so important in this moment, because you don't want to accidentally push all by yourself and then cause yourself to inadvertently get picked, which would be the worst case scenario. When as a team you can master the right moments to isolate another player, this allows you to significantly speed up how quickly you win matches and be the aggressors in a match versus just sitting back and playing too passively. The last thing I really wanted to talk about in this video, guys, is loadouts. And loadouts are a huge part of Trials because it allows you to have balance across your team and be prepared for multiple types of different scenarios. So for example, the team I ran with, we had 2 shotguns and 1 sniper. And the reason we did this is because having a sniper is so invaluable in Trials. You have someone on your team that can get a pick from a very far distance without putting themselves in much risk. Compared to a shotgun, there's that risk of a trade, a risk you overextend, a risk your shotgun doesn't one shot, 1 kill, and then all of a sudden you're the one that gets picked. Snipers give you that 1 shot kill from a safe distance and allows you to get that pick that I talked about in the very beginning of this video to collapse on and really set off the chain of events that allows you to win a round. So I highly recommend with your team loadout, figuring out who's your most comfortable on your team with sniping and having them take up the sniping role. The next thing I would talk about is Hardlight and Revoker. These are probably some of the really popular weapons in Trials right now. You still have your spare Mindbenders or Thorn. Those are all going to be really good. But a really good loadout, especially for low light people, is Hardlight with Revoker. Revoker is still going to be a headshot, also headshot supers. And then Hardlight, if you guys haven't tried it, this thing absolutely melts. So definitely give it a try if you guys find yourself struggling. It also has no damage fall off and bounces off walls, and with all the angles on burnout, it actually can be pretty useful sometimes for preventing reses, because it's just bouncing off and down and resetting that timer over and over again. Lastly, I'll make some quick recommendations for subclasses. The subclass I actually ended up rocking was Attunement of Hunger, basically the bottom tree subclass for Warlock for Void with Devour. I found it significantly helpful for me because it allowed me to push mid and be pretty aggressive, and not only have my Rift to get my health back, but be also able to consume my grenade, get my health back, and catch my enemy off guard to get some easy kills. For Hunter, I definitely recommend Spectral. It's just a super powerful super, and having that smoke is super invaluable for preventing reses and just blocking off doorways. And for Titan, I would recommend Middle Tree Sentinel, just because you get such a strong super, you have the suppression nades, and of course with any Titan subclass you'll get Titan Barricade. So those are my recommendations for loadouts, guys. Expect more videos around Trials, going in more detail on my loadout and my subclasses that I use. But thanks again so much for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure you like, share, and subscribe, and also follow me on mixer.com/apathetic to catch some of my streams, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.